Today, getting back to basics a little bit and going to answer the questions that the buyers and sellers need to know for this market right now. Let's get into it. What's one of the main things that gets often overlooked when it comes to value of a property when we're doing a transaction? And I think one of the big things, especially over the real long term, is going to be lot size, especially if you're looking at single family homes. Because in the short term, you're often always focused on the finishes, the newness of the home, the features and benefits that that presents. But if you're really looking at long-term value, and we've seen this over the years, as lot sizes get smaller and smaller in these new developments, that the larger properties become more and more valuable. So now while the house may not be as nice because it may have an older house on it, but that land value just continues to increase. Why is it that two homes on the same street with similar features, similar size, can sell for very different values? And really what it comes down to is how that home presents itself. And a lot of times it's hard to tell from the photos when you look at images on MLS.ca or you're looking online and you see them and it looks very good, but when you get there it can be an entirely different story. You may have pet odors, you may have smoking. I had a home recently that was smoked in, and that definitely affected the resale value, even though in the photos it looked immaculate. So what's the difference between a home that's priced to sell and one that's underpriced? Is really, price to sell is going to be at market value, and that's an estimate of value that we're coming up with looking at comparables where the market is taking the house. Now, underpricing a home is a strategy that some people will use, and it makes sense if you're looking for a very quick sale or if you're looking to garner multiple offers. It's not a strategy that works for every property, but I like to use a 3-tiered pricing model, and that works really well to come up with the right price for you. So when you're looking at purchasing an acreage, what are the things that you should focus on other than the house that may come into impact when you're purchasing a property? Well, there's a lot. And mainly we're looking at, to begin with, is septic systems, wells, the type of wells, a drilled well, shallow well. How old's that septic system? Where are the property boundaries? A lot of times with rural properties, it's very hard to see where those property boundaries are. So we want to get that defined. We want to know what we're buying. The other thing that you're going to need to look at is there a water course going through the property? Is it a riparian area? Is there going to be setbacks that are going to limit future development? Also, is that land subdividable? Is it in the agricultural land reserve? Are there archaeological impacts as well? And the list goes on and on from there. You need a professional to help you when purchasing an acreage. So why is it that the first 7 to 14 days of a home being on the market are so critical? And the answer is, that's when it gets all the attention. Everybody's seeing that home. So it's like it's on display for the first time. There's excitement, everybody's looking, you got people viewing the home. And so if you miss the mark from the beginning, or your property is not quite prepared properly, if you're doing it after the fact, the same amount of attention is not going to be given to that property. And sometimes it just gets forgotten and it's lost. It's like it's old news after 2 weeks. So what are some of the real estate red flags that come up throughout a transaction that I'm going to say are typically not deal breakers, but they're going to need a higher level of attention or additional information? What we're looking at here is septic systems. How old is it? How's it functioning? Things like poly B plumbing in homes. That's a big one right now. Can you buy a home with poly B plumbing? Absolutely. You just want to make sure that you know what you're getting into and make sure that the value there is adjusted for the fact that it has poly B, and that may need to be changed out in the future. But there's other areas as well. You want to speak to a professional to make sure that you're not missing anything. So how do sellers actually help sell their neighbors' properties rather than their own? And typically that comes down to value and overpricing, because you're not actually competing with all the houses that are for sale. You're competing with the 1 or 2 that are going to sell over the next month. And if your house is priced too high, it's going to make the other ones look like better value in comparison. Yours is going to sit, theirs is going to sell. Some of the best real estate decisions are made after asking the best questions, but you don't know what you don't know. And that's why it's so important to leverage the value of an experienced real estate professional to help guide you through the steps. And whether that's as a seller or a buyer, you can reach out to me, ask me those questions. I'll let you know what to look out for. We can get the ball rolling. Thanks again for watching.